Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So I put out what was a fairly positive review of Night of the Living Dead. I wanted to come back after I've played all of the scenarios, done everything a few times, I've taken the cards out, made it a little bit more difficult, and just talk about my experience after 20 plus plays. So what did I find here? I found out that I really like the IP, and I think it really rises the game up for me. I did have a good time having this introductory Zombicide game, and I'll definitely keep it for that reason. Now, my original review, I said, look, if you're looking for one Zombicide game, this is the one to keep. Maybe. I mean, if you're looking for something a little bit easier, simpler, and the scenarios are fairly easy and basic, then yes, this is for you. Everybody else, I'd probably tell you to skip it. And one of the reasons why is, quite frankly, I don't believe that scenarios were play tested. They're extremely simple. Just very simple. And 6 and 8, those ones where you run, I don't believe they were play tested at all because they don't work. And I've checked around, I've asked questions, I've waited for responses, and pretty much everybody agreed. There wasn't anybody who didn't agree with me. Nobody said, no, it worked for me and it worked brilliantly and this is what had to happen. You did this wrong. Instead, it was like, here's a variant that can make it interesting. Okay. I do like the Romero mode. That's all kind of neat. But man, it got to the point where like you'd have 20 zombies out or ghouls out, a relative would come up, and I don't want to like go do. I'm going to kill him with 2 or 3 dice rolls and then have to flip all the cards back over. So that became kind of a nuisance. I might have preferred like a card that was split in the center. Here's Romero mode, all in once, and I have to keep flipping that over. It's a minor quibble, but it did make the game a little fiddly. At the end of the day, I just don't feel like this game was play tested. I just don't feel like the scenarios are balanced. They're way too easy. And maybe that's what they were going for. It's a gateway game. We want you to win. I don't see how you can lose. And more than that, I don't feel like the goals in most scenarios were ever a threat. And you're constantly going through that house deck. You're constantly going through it, and there's just not enough variety. You're seeing the same things over and over and over again. A lot of the weapons, the ranged weapons and the melee weapons that you'll find, they're just repeats. It's the same 4 or 5 weapons over and over and over again. Once you got a lot of people are complaining about the flashlight, because once you get the flashlight, you can do 2 cards instead of 1. You can really get through that deck quickly. It kind of fell down a little bit for me. Some of the scenarios, like running through to the town, like those are some of the would be some of the most fun scenarios, and they're completely broken, and it brings the game down. So if you take out the 2 broken ones, you got 10 scenarios, and they gave you a free one that's a lot more combat oriented. So let's say you have 11 scenarios, 2 out, you get 9 to play through. The first couple are fairly simple. But you still have 9 scenarios to go through. Is that going to be enough for you? I don't know. You do have the expansion has the 4 additional characters. I would say get that in pretty quickly. Just kind of move things up a little bit. But there's a lot to like about it. I like the leveling up. I get to choose which power you have. It's a little cumbersome to always have 6, but I can deal with that. And I did like the atmosphere of like barricading things up and keeping you right in that story in the campaign. Definitely, or at least maybe not a campaign, but scenarios that build off of each other and the aspect that it's telling the story was very appreciated. I like they're almost a slave to the source material. I like that quite a bit. Everything kind of works for me in that regard. But keep in mind, this is a very basic Zombicide. This is really for beginners. It's a very easy. A couple of scenarios are broken, 6 and 8. The ones that you run to town, you're just going to want to skip completely. But I still had fun, and I still played this game a lot. And it's a lot easier to pull out and kind of play than some of the other ones because the rules are simpler. And I'll be keeping it for that. I'll be keeping it for the IP and the theme. But, if you're an experienced, Black Plague players, is probably something you'll want to skip over. For playing with your children or playing with the family, this could definitely accomplish that. You might want to check out some of the variants that are online. I think they make things a little bit better. I've fiddled around with some of those. I think they do a better game. I just wish CMON had taken any interest in this game whatsoever. Another thing that kind of turned me off a little bit was on the BGG threads, we're posting things. Nobody from CMON ever posted anything on this. Maybe they're just too big to do that kind of thing. But with a game as problematic as this, I wish they would have made some comments. They did come out with like a new board, which I think they need more of those. They came out with some errata. There were some misprints on the maps, which is disappointing. I think they could have done a better job with this one. And it's a little bit of a letdown. It's kind of falling down for me. But for that specific type of gamer, I think it will be a win. but you better like Night of the Living Dead. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a great day.